Okay, my name is Larry Shi. I'm from UH. I'm a faculty in computer science department. We've been working on blockchain-related research and projects, and mostly funded by the federal government. Some projects relate to supply chains, cross-border trade, but not all the projects relate to some IoTs, and some actually projects we did actually sponsored by DARPA and then NSF. We actually had two projects related to blockchain, using blockchain for chain of custody, and the other one is using blockchain to transform the paper, basically the document processing for the entry process. So we have one. Another one actually, hopefully we will get started, basically related to the e-commerce and use case of blockchain. So this is just a highlight of the second project we did. The project supported by BTI and DHS, SNT. So we actually very grateful and to the support from the DHS, as well as the stakeholders. Actually, we talked with a lot of people and then try to map the existing process and then see how technology could be applied to improve efficiency or automation, and then how to have a better process. So particularly looking to the future, how to modernize the customs, the entry process. So this is just a diagram that's showing the current, the pre-entry, entry, and post-entry process, and all the steps involved. And so basically we map into this 5 business areas. So this is not actually we come up with. This is actually the business process according to WCO, that's a World Customs Organization. So we just investigate where the new technology could be applied, and then to improve efficiency or the automation, and then productivity, and that has benefit to both the private industry, the sector, logistics, supply chain management, as well as the CBP or government perspective that can have benefits for both sides. So we actually produced like over 180 pages document as part of the project, which modeled after a well-known report actually by WTO that was a year ago, and they actually had a similar sort of project, and then look into how the blockchain can be used for the global trade. But our focus is more from the customs entry process perspective, which is a more specific area. So here's, I think a few years ago, we had this blockchain discussion with the logistics industry people here in Houston. One question I got from them is how this is actually different from the EDI system they're already using. They don't see any sort of benefits or where this goes. But here I think this is the answer from UNC Effect. So if you're not familiar with this, UNC Effect actually has a large set of international standards for supply chain management, where all the EDI messages and then the data exchange formats or standards actually come from the UNC Effect. So they have a project, they're working on this right now, and they map all the UNC Effect supply chain, logistics, all the data exchange the standards to blockchain. So you see there's a lot of coming in the future, and then perhaps in the next couple of years, you'll see the start to have services, solutions that are getting adopted more by the industry. So it's coming, and also there's this WCO, UNC Effect. They work together. So one is more from the customs data model perspective. The other one is from the trade and then cross-border trade, supply chain, logistic perspective. And in terms of what we do as a research, so we're trying to see how to convert or translate the technology sort of jargons or terms to a business kind of benefits that people who are operators or business owners and see, oh, what benefits I can get from this, right? So in particular, like cost and then risk. The risk actually can be compliance risk or cybersecurity risk, and then data quality, and then how to get a timely data. So how that compare with existing or alternative technologies, what the benefits using blockchain. And it's what we learned actually is it's very difficult to get it to do it right, because a lot of times people say, oh, see, we have this, right? We talk with companies that have a blockchain solution, and then sure, I mean, maybe we see the benefits, the data quality improves, but also the cost are actually several times more, much higher. So the goal is to reduce costs, but if not doing it right, and then they will see actually the cost will go up. As one example, a very big, large retail sort of a company, they have a blockchain-based supply chain solution for their suppliers. But just to get started, you have to pay $5,000 a year as a cost. So that's actually way more than some of the small suppliers actually can afford, comparing with what they spend on IT in terms of cost. So this is one example. So there's a way to do this, and then that's definitely the research behind as well. So what we're trying to do is see how to reduce the data validation costs or information costs that without increasing the burden to the suppliers and then the players in the ecosystem. So let me see. And what we're trying to as well look into, particularly as a opportunity research as well, is try to look at the sort of the synergy behind like IoTs and cloud-based services, and as well as the blockchain distributed ledgers, and see where the new opportunity is. And particularly, I think we're focusing on the so-called, perhaps we coined the term, basically cloud 2.0, where really the blockchain can be used as an enabling technology to move forward this cloud-based services. I know the cloud is kind of, I've been teaching cloud for 10 years, and I have students graduated working for consulting companies like say EY. I just heard few weeks ago, and when I worked for EY, we had this new customer, which is a car dealer, a very large one in one of the states, not Texas, and they just started to migrate their IT or services to cloud. You see, there are a lot of this it's not trivial, and definitely but people are working on that, and hopefully will contribute to how the technology can be used to transform and help the industry.